Welcome back. I'm here with Ian Cummings. If you guys don't remember, we had that interview last year. He talked about the orange circle underlying physics model. He talked about his time at EA, working on his new game, Photo Finish. And we've got a lot more to talk about. So much has changed in the sports gaming landscape since we last talked. Technology is evolving. There's a lot we can talk about. So welcome in, Ian. What's up?
Yeah, it is great to be back. That was a fun. I never expected to nerd out about the 2000 Madden 01 physics model would actually have such reach.
Right.
You sent me a clip of NFL players talking about it.
Right. We had Derek Carr on his podcast with David Carr, former New York Giant David Carr. And they were talking about it. They referenced it. They know exactly what's going on. They saw you talk about it. I mean, that's awesome. That's reach, which means EA certainly saw it.
I did get some, I won't say who, but I did get DMs right after that were like appreciative, especially ones that had worked on some of the stuff that they did for, if you remember NFL Blitz, EA actually had the orange circle style. And so they reached out and said, oh yeah, thanks for recognizing that we had it cool and Blitz. So they know. I don't know how far up the chain they know. I wonder at some level, like, does anyone have any idea that you exist, that I exist? In that, which bands, like I know the designers and stuff, like the guys that I still know, they know.
Right.
But I don't know if the marketing team even sees it or cares. I don't know.
Andrew Wilson, does he?
Does he know? He shouldn't have to care too much anymore on his salary.
He's got a nice little raise.
God, man.
At the expense of everybody, right? That's just how it is these days, I guess.
Yeah, it's no different from any American company, really. But man, it's so funny when I left EA thinking you have to kind of start your own thing to be wealthy. You really can't be wealthy being a rank and file employee. And little did I know, Andrew Wilson would prove me drastically wrong on that, because I think he was like one level up from me when I left and then became CEO. And now
you could have been Andrew Wilson.
Absurdly wealthy. I don't think I don't have the accent. I don't have the look. I'm not as cool. He's very eloquent, smart speaker. I don't think I would have done that. But yeah, kudos for him. I think he's made like $500 million in the last 8 years or something, or 10 years. He's doing unbelievable.
Man, but does he sleep well at night?
Probably, yeah.
Probably. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I don't know. That's the whole thing we can get into. But college football came out. And there was a big deal with microtransactions. They started putting microtransactions in modes like Dynasty, Road to Glory. Back when you worked on the NCAA games, there was probably never even a thought of monetizing Road to Glory like that, intentionally slowing down progression to incentivize people to pay up. They're finally doing that now. And there was some backlash, which was nice to see, from people that partnered with EA. But now I see a lot of these guys going back to partner with them with Madden. And I think with $20 billion in debt with this new purchase and sale of EA, they're just going to keep going with this. I mean, where do you see EA going from here, and what do you think of these microtransactions?
Ooh, I definitely don't like an offline mode having paid microtransactions. I mean, I think there's this nature of the beast. I mean, obviously, I left EA right as they started doing Ultimate Team and really ramping that up. And, I was definitely working with people on how to try and squeeze more money out of, the player base. You're trying to come up with ways. And then I, of course, left and worked in free-to-play games. And I've been trying to squeeze money out of the player base every day since. It's the nature of the beast. I mean, it's weird. It's like it forced our hand a little bit, the industry, where like everything's free now. And there's so much entertainment that's for free that you do have to do free-to-play monetization. And as a designer that came up in the days before that existed, it felt and still feels horrible. You don't like it. You don't want to design that way, but obviously you've got to eat and feed your family and some of this stuff. But, like with my games, the horse racing stuff, we were doing loot boxes and, people would pay and hopefully get lucky and, make their stable better. And we actually tried in Photo Finish Live to actually not do any of that and instead make it more of a marketplace where we were just taking a cut and a rake off of things. So it was an open game. And, that's proved okay, decent. It wouldn't hold up a Madden. It wouldn't hold up a big thing. Mm-hmm. But I think it's just like EA's definitely in a rock and a hard place. I don't know what the right answer is, but if you've got to keep squeezing more money out of your existing loyal player base, I sure wouldn't do that. Piss off everyone that has played and loves that mode and those modes forever. I would keep leaning harder on the competitive player. That's where your whales are. That's where the people that don't care. If there's a guy that is a multimillionaire that just wants to be the best and have the best stuff, then okay, I guess you can monetize him at 6 figures or 7 figures if you want. But to make the guy that just loves Kent State or Utah State or something in Texas A&M and takes him to wants to be a fullback and to monetize him, oh, that's just awful. I don't like that one bit. I would definitely not choose that because it also it can't even out. Even if it worked and they kept it in, it cannot even out. And the loss of people that want to play now, you took this sanctity away from them. You took the sanctuary away by making it, here comes all this free-to-play, paid microtransaction crap. There has to be a better way to monetize more on other modes. Or what I just wish they would do is figure out a good game that sells 2x what it used to, instead of squeezing the people that are playing.
Exactly.
Go attract more people.
Yeah.
It's way easier. Wouldn't you think? Getting $4 from every Dynasty player versus getting 65 or 70 from one new player. What would you rather do?
I think about that a lot because, the games, they top the charts regardless. But imagine how much more they would top the charts if, everyone loved the game and it was, positively received, through the mainstream level. Let's say they start adding eras to the Dynasty mode. You could start in college football in the 1950s, 60s, or 1800s. Let's go back to the beginning of college football. Let's bring
1800s?
Right. Let's bring back creative play.
Right.
Yeah. Let's build a scheme in the 1800s. Let's throw a modern scheme in the 1800s. How does the league adapt and evolve? That's the type of stuff you don't see in football games.
That's funny. Yeah, you're running these triple option shotgun plays against guys in leather helmets. Yeah,
I mean, that's what a video game I think should do. It's like a time machine. Let's go change the past and see let it simulate what could be.
I've thought about that a lot because I noticed you have talked about that. It's tough to step back and think if I was on Madden again, what would I do? But I think that is one of the biggest truths is that nostalgia will always work. And I think of NBA 2K as that Jordan year, for example, the Jordan era. Nothing was better than that, and everyone loved it. And why not just lean into that? No, you can't do that every year. You can't go, hey, this year it's all about Mike Singletary and whatever. We're going hard in the 80s, everything about the 80s, and you can't just do that every year. But it's just that sort of love letter to fans. There are very few NFL fans that have zero historical reference, I would think, that you'd want to be selling to.
Exactly.
That would not die to go play Favre's favorite best moments or whatever. I just think there's so much to do that is missing.
I guess the way they look at it is probably they're going to make the money from Ultimate Team as they usually do. They're not pissing off the Ultimate Team community with what they're doing, so they're probably hoping the people playing Dynasty and Road to Glory that do pay up will offset those who just don't buy the game. And it was also kind of unexpected. I think a lot of people bought the game not knowing, because what they did is all the content creators, they weren't allowed to speak on it when they made their sponsored EA videos. And then that's why they kind of had a little rebellious moment after.
But everybody turned on them.
Right, because they were kind of blindsided by that, I believe, because they're used to
I feel like
EA.
I didn't hear about it until a week or two after launch, too. Was it ready at launch, or did it come? I don't know. I felt like it was delayed maybe that's just my.
The microtransactions were there as soon as the game released for early access. And that's when people started to notice. And then I put it in my review, and then I kind of said, I think there's about to be a thing, because I was kind of DMing people, and then a thing kind of happened. And at first I was really happy about the thing, but the thing's kind of over now. And the microtransactions aren't going to be over. So
yeah, is Madden going to have them? Does anyone know?
Mike Straw, Insider Gaming, is reporting yes. So, and there's already hints. There's a couple, when you look at them previewing the game, you can see a couple questionable options where it's that's where you're going to obviously buy something in superstar mode or franchise. And they're obviously going to hide archetypes behind the MVP subscription, which is inevitably not even going to let you own the game. It might technically this year, but I mean, we all know where that's going.
Yeah, owning the game's weird now, though. I mean, I've been since, yes, I guess whichever. I switched to discless, many years ago, and that was a big change of like, well, I can't trade anything in ever again. So now I'm
Yeah.
just eating all these games. It actually made me. It seemed like it would be a big boost to my gaming because I thought, well, now I can just download it whenever I want. But actually, it reduced the amount of games I play because I don't trade any in. That sort of loop that you would go, oh, okay, cool. I bet this. I'm going to go and grab a couple new ones now and sell these. But yeah, now it's just like, well, you pay full price and that's it. It's over. And I don't have a problem with that. I think $60 is still an amazing deal for the amount of entertainment pretty much every modern game provides. But I mean, there was a big push with NEA to end that used game market, which I found kind of crazy. But I mean, if you remember whichever year that was, there was codes in the instruction manual that would effectively you wouldn't be able to play it online unless you had an updated code. And, that was what, you don't remember this era?
I don't remember this, no.
07-ish, 08-ish maybe? Something. Huh. I'm trying to remember. That was a big Peter Moore thing while he was there. It was basically that they started to see how much, I have no idea the stats, but let's just guess that if there were 1 million copies of Madden played, 3 million were actually 1 million unique sales and then 3 million different people or something, right? There was like a 3-to-1 of traded versions. And so that extra 2 million of sales or however many it was lost. GameStop made all of that. EA made 0. And there was a big EA Sports Online Pass. That's what it was. EA Sports Online Pass.
Huh.
Where it was in the instruction manual and it was a one-use code. So if you bought the game retail, you're good. And you use your code. And then when the next guy buys it from GameStop and goes and puts it in, online doesn't work. And they'd have to buy a pass for online so that EA could make money off of the secondary sale. I don't know how long that lasted, but that was a thing. That was a big deal too. Everyone had to do it. Every game had it. Everyone was mad, of course.
So there's a lot of backlash, and then I guess they
undid
it.
Yeah, probably. I don't know when or what, but Peter left, and then whoever took his place, who knows? They probably said, "Who cares?" and got rid of it. I guess. Actually, I don't know. I haven't checked in a while, but when they got rid of that. But that was definitely a thing. It was kind of a DRM, right? I mean, it was like a single sale of online pass.
Yeah. As soon as all gaming got online and internet connected, that opened the floodgates of how can we monitor and control everything that players are doing. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, think about in Madden, for example, you want to make a roster with the player Fletcher Cox. It's going to bleep out his last name because they want to get that E rating for the online access or the online play. But Madden on my GameCube, I could put any word.
My name used to get bleeped out and censored out. It used to drive me nuts.
Yeah,
I'd put in Ian Cummings on FIFA, and it would go, you can't use that name. And I'm like, damn it, dude.
I used to live in Cumming, Georgia. I couldn't make that a name.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just it's a weird new world. It's so impossible to predict what they're going to do. But I guess to step back and just say monetizing single player modes. If I was advising anyone, I'd say try to find another spot to monetize. Other than that, is there literally any other way to anger your core than that?
But does it matter? If everyone gets mad, are they still going to be fine?
I mean, will they still be fine? Probably, right? Yeah. I mean, but let's say that over a 3 or 5 year period, Madden stays flat in sales, doesn't grow, or does a 1% or something. It's a whole different ballgame now, privately owned, compared to, FIFA had a gangbuster year, and public earnings are up, and stocks up, and we just acquired such and such. So no one cares if Madden went up or down 2% or 5% or 3%. Whereas I think private equity now, it's a whole different story where now you've got people going, wait a minute, what's going on? Responsibility profit of Madden is what? We're spending, a good game on a yearly basis is responsibility profit is maybe a 30% thing. So whatever we invested, we're making back 30% after everything. So if it's a big game like Madden, maybe you're investing 200 million in order to get 60 back. If that's shrinking, then all of a sudden you start thinking, well, like, should we really invest 200 million to make 20? No, especially all the costs. I'm sure the NFL gets more expensive every deal. The teams get larger every year, so like things can change dramatically if it starts to squeeze down into responsibility profit not mattering. It means that they can't run those giant marketing campaigns. It means then their sales start to drop. They start monetizing more, but then they squeeze out some of those people. Then it can spiral. Like you've seen tons of big franchises sort of start to circle downward when they lose their core.
It looks like that's exactly what's happening. It looks like the spiral has begun.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because then it's like it's hidden, right? I mean, college had such a net positive, and to have zero revenue from college for all these years, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's back, baby. And that's likely not their most profitable in terms of responsibility profit because of all the licensing and stuff. I bet that's a nightmare. But I bet that first year was killer. I bet that made tons and tons and tons of money. But now they're probably like, ooh, this is shrinking. Now what are we going to do? We have 600 employees working on this game or whatever. I don't even know what they do. Those teams are insane now. Mm-hmm. It's hard to even fathom. A game that we used to build with 22 people is at 1,000 or whatever. It's like, and it doesn't really feel any. And guys like you every year come on and say it's not as good as the old game with 22 people. It's like something's wrong, man. It's so wild. So I don't know. The margins again could always be sort of hidden in the big EA Sports org for years, and not just EA Sports, then EA as a whole. And when you think about private equity now managing that much more close to it, there's no more external market speculation that could make the stock go up or down. Or I don't know. I would be nervous to not blow it with my core audience. If Madden had any sort of bullseye target to hit that they're trying to figure out, I would really be like, how do we fix our Metacritic from being 0 every year? Like the sentiment the tide has turned so poorly.
Right.
Since I was going to actually try and get like a GPT or something to write a big report, go do a research report for me on Madden. But it's like, I don't remember when that started to pivot so hard, but I mean, it's literally 0 and 20s since what, 2018 or something? I mean,
yeah, it was the Frostbite engine really. But I mean, I go back to Madden 13, but
yeah, back then, but it's like, but the sales have to have sagged with those rankings and reviews going so bad. I know the like fixed franchise hashtag. What year was that?
So that was after Madden 20, which I think Madden 20 probably sold well with the X factors in the marketing, I'd imagine, because people really talk about that game as like a popular Madden, even though I hated it. That was a popular one. But 21, 22, that's when the backlash really started heating up. That's when Sean Grady had to respond, make that like video. I would imagine the sales have not been increasing that much since then.
Can't be, right? But I would say
football
that
25, that probably sold incredibly, and then 26 had to be less. 27 might be even less. But
yeah, right. But I mean, again, like so step back and think. I mean, geez, so Madden 20. So we're now like 7 editions in since people have started hating us. If we're the EA team, like beyond belief. Every YouTube video, every piece of content we put out is hated on, no matter if it's good or bad. It doesn't matter at this point. Like the tides have turned horrifically, and it just feels so aimless to like put out another trailer each year. This year is literally the best Madden ever.
But the thing is, every year their trailers, they market them the same way. They don't switch it up.
I know, but so who knows, man? That's the thing. It's like, if it's working better than from the outside, I would assume it's not working that great. Like, again, there were those golden years that we had where it was like, we're going up 30% every year or 50%. And I don't mean profit. I mean, from the previous year, we're just mooning. If we sold 4 million last year, we sold 6 million this year and then 8 million that year. It was like unbelievable. I know it's down, but is it just kind of like, well, we sold, 100K less units, but we monetized 10% more. Everyone's cool with that. Happy, that kind of thing. But yeah, it just feels like something's got to give though on this. I mean, I saw your video that's just like, I'm done talking about it, and everyone should ignore it and make it go away. What
What
would be?
else am I gonna do?
I know. I meant to ask you that. I just wanted to ask you, like, what trailer would they release come, July of next year that would have you go, oh, my things are changing, my the clouds are parting.
So the trailer starts with NFL
Chris
Films
Berman
music.
Okay.
No. So we're Sam Spence, NFL
Yep.
Films music. All right, and then you
Yep.
get like a new cinematic camera angle, like panning out that you don't normally see. It's not a repetitive angle you see in every trailer they do, and you see leather helmets. You see the Green Bay Packers a long time ago, and you're like, whoa, what am I looking
John
at?
Unitas,
Right.
or something, right?
Maybe
Okay.
you hear
Yep.
like some announcer from back then, his voice was recreated or something, and then you just get a glimpse of that, and then it cuts to like the 1980s. You see Lawrence Taylor, like LT, like blowing past like a left tackle on the Eagles or something, and sacking Randall Cunningham, and then cuts to the 2000s. You got Tom Brady coming in for Drew Bledsoe, like walking onto the field. There's an injury on the field. I don't know if the NFL would allow that. Maybe
Sure.
not, but that's just an idea. And then essentially the point is experience the NFL, and then it shows the NFL like shield like shifting through the eras, because it's changed over the years. And how would that trailer not go viral and make everyone like, oh my gosh, I gotta play this. I haven't played Madden in 10 years. I want to play this.
Right.
And I don't know how feasible it is for them to add a mode like that, but like they added long shot a few years ago. I was talking to Mike Young about that, and that I don't know if you saw that NBA The Run interview I did with those guys.
I did. Yep.
They had a lot of nice things to say about you. That was fun.
That's nice.
But
yeah.
If they could do long shot, why can't they do some historical similar mode? And imagine they did that instead of monetizing Dynasty and Road to Glory or franchise and Superstar, something like that. That's one way to kick off new ownership. Everyone's like, "Oh, I love these new owners. EA's good now." They could have flipped everything, but I don't know. Maybe they have a better explanation.
Like, so you kick up. I love it. Right, I'm a big fan. I love the old stuff. Whenever I played Madden on my Genesis, it was never with the Giants. It was with the '86 Giants or the '72 Dolphins or whatever. So I love the historic teams. Obviously, they got to fight through all the legalities and all the things, But okay, they've already figured that out for Ultimate Team. Ultimate Team has tons of old players, so that's
exactly.
You don't have to get everyone. Okay, so you boot up or whatever. This means this year's game is called, the X or whatever they call those. It's going to be the love letter to the fans. It's the nostalgia. It's the historical Madden game. And it's a Madden Moments style mode. It's got every single amazing moment in history that you can replay and redo. And then on all the comments, they go, well, what about franchise? What about Superstar, dude? That to me is the problem. All those franchise heads that they're in your comments already. What about the ratings and the gearhead guys? Dude, the leather helmets don't look like that.
I guess you have to consider, where are you taking feedback from, and how do you value feedback from different places? Like, and I wonder where EA takes their feedback from. I think they take it more so from the Ultimate Team competitive crowd that, the whales. That's where they get the most feedback from, that they actually take, in my opinion. But like, me personally, if they did that, if they added that mode and I saw that they put in the effort and it was realistically the most they could do in the 1 year release cycle, I would be extremely positive. I wouldn't start nitpicking, okay, what did they not do? Because I'm just looking for a sign of like a shift. I almost felt slightly optimistic with Madden 26 in a way, because it did seem like a lot of things I had brought up in the past like were being addressed, and I could see like Josh Lumen, if he's part of the team, you can see some influence on like NFL head coach type stuff being added to these games. Same with the new college football. Like, I see a lot of individuals working there or adding stuff that I want. But now that there's these microtransactions being added, it's like it just kind of ruins all of it. It doesn't even matter anymore. I'm at a point now where what am I even fighting for? Because at first it was like, I can maybe influence, some cool features they're maybe not thinking about to get into the game. But now what's the point? It's just going to be heavily monetized. It's over. I'm looking at it like it's over. So I'd rather emphasize indie devs, small teams like NBA The Run, people trying to make something out of passion. Not these. I think it's over with EA, with 2K, these massive companies. I don't think they're just going to magically drop the next best Madden, the greatest 2K ever made.
Mm.
I think it's just a squeeze that's going to get worse and worse. Like you said, you're not sure if they're in the endless spiral yet. I think it's begun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious where you think, let's assume it's begun. Where does it end? Can EA die? Like, where does it end?
Yeah, for sure. Anyone can, right? I mean, it's wild to think that, but like, if let's just imagine a world in which major leadership people within EA are paid out fat now, retirement fat. They vest whatever this cook was, and this was kind of it. And then their bosses are making life hell. Hey, this is not what we wanted, or this is no good, or we're not going to come out of pocket for the license. We don't think this is worth it anymore. Then that can be huge spiral, right? I mean, like, how long will Andrew stay? How long will, if I'm Andrew, I'm already like, yacht shopping, right? Like, all right, this is, he did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Took over as CEO. It took 10 years.
The sale is done.
He did it. He sold the company. Right. Yeah. He did what a CEO is supposed to do. He got tons of money to the shareholders, like huge amount to the shareholders. When I left, I think EA was $11 or $13 or something like that. He 10x'd it and maintained it and then sold the company, then got a premium on it. So like, as a CEO, which of course this is us all hating capitalism, he nailed it. He did exactly what CEOs are supposed to do. And all of us are like, damn it, why'd you do that? That's not what we wanted. We wanted the games to get better. But that's capitalism. Such is life,
the laying off of all the employees and then him getting such a raise, though. Like, he can't say no, but he can't be like, I'd rather keep these guys on and take a little less.
That's true, yeah.
That's what I would do, I think.
Usually that's a board.
But maybe yeah. I can't speak to having that much money in front of me, right? But I would imagine. Right, yeah. I'd like to imagine I'd do that.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely done that. I've foregone and had to give all my money back in to pay employees at third time during times of stress. But yeah, I feel different it's a different level too. Like when you're like, well, is the board going to write me a check for $40 million? Yes, I'll accept. Sure.
Because you got to think about his own family. Like his kids, his grandkids, his great grandkids. They're set forever.
They're good. And
generational. You got to think about that. You got to be a little selfish. Somewhat.
yeah. I mean, again, capitalism. He knocked it out of the park. As a modern CEO, he absolutely killed it. Especially from where it was. Like, EA was really floundering. He comes in and dials all the sports in, and also did Star Wars and all these other huge. And again, just lifted the stock from all the way up into what it was. A lot of employees got really rich. So anyway, all that to be said, like, if there's a big chunk of leadership that is sort of like, all right, I'm good now. And they start to combat with the new ownership, or they basically are just like, well, I'm old enough now and I'm just ready to go get on a boat or go sit on my dock and fish with my kids or whatever. Then, who's going to take the mantle of what is arguably one of the most stressful IP in the world and one of the most expensive to get out the door? It's just really, it's a hard problem if you were like a small team or someone new or given that challenge of just sort of like, okay, I don't know what is due, but let's just assume $100 million is due to the NFL and the PA and the stats and whoever. Before you even do anything, before you write a line of code, there's tens of dozens of maybe hundreds of millions of dollars due. That's a giant problem and scary. And if you don't think that you can make a $200 million game, then it can spiral pretty fast. And so, yeah, it could just shut down. And then all of a sudden, they give up that license and it's back in bidding again. Whoever wants it, whoever wants to go pay the huge, ginormous amount of money and take a stab at it. But I think you're in the same boat. Like, AI is allowing smaller teams to make larger swings. And if EA were to let it go or let it become back, even not let it go, but just let it not be exclusive, if they were for some reason really sinking in profits and felt like they didn't need it anymore. Or I mean, geez, look at FIFA, right? I mean, FIFA was soccer for 30 years, and they finally were like, we don't need it. It's a little different.
Yeah,
The NFL
SC.
is the NFL versus FIFA was only the World Cup branding and not the teams, but still, it's like that was a pretty massive shift. So you could hypothetically see, all right, well, somebody else picks up and they get in and they start making something, and now there are 8 competitors that have all raised VC rounds and are going back at it using AI, using whatever to try and fill in all those gaps that they felt like EA has left open, all the cracks. I mean, I think that's what's for sure the next natural phase of all this stuff. If it all comes down to if EA lets the license go, but it's just that people go at these little holes that they dig into nostalgia for you, for example, or they dig into single player mode for this person, or they dig into owner mode for that person. These are indie studios. I mean, they just go find these parts that have a rabid fan base. They don't try to compete with Madden on the whole product. Very few people could do that. Like only a 2K could do that, right? But at franchise mode, there are hundreds of devs that could go and say, we're going to make a better franchise mode than Madden. No problem there. But when it comes to like, well, have you modeled all the correct fonts on all the jerseys and the way the helmets sit and all this stuff? Like, no, we don't want to deal with that. That's some of the stuff that keeps people out of the big moat. But yeah, I think that's where you could see a lot of innovation start to happen if that was free and clear for people to buy the license and then come after it.
So you bring up AI. Let's talk about that. So I think there's a very strong divide on the internet from what I see between people that hate AI and people that think AI is pretty cool. Personally, last year when we talked, you were mentioning using AI on photo finish, and I wasn't as in the loop. I'd never used like a terminal-based like a coding model. I was just using like ChatGPT, the app, stuff like that. And I think that most people are still in that boat. And I think there's a lot of misinformation because I've been using things like Quen 3.8 Max, Kimi K3, Claude Opus 5, Fable 5. I was so mad when that was shut down temporarily, and then it came back. Codex with ChatGPT models. I'm noticing at the high end, if you already have coding ability, if you already know the technical stuff, these tools can take an individual and give them the power to create something an individual never previously could, like something that a team, something that you would need to rely on EA to make, for example. So I see this as power to individuals, but there's all these people on the internet saying, no, you're not allowed to use it. You're stealing from individuals. I wonder what you think about this because you're obviously you're way more of a software engineer than I am, obviously. So, I mean, look behind you.
I mean, it's such, I mean, the gamer culture is so like finicky and weird. Sometimes it's hard to really understand. I mean, there's still people that like will pick at a game because a woman is in it. There's still like corners of the internet that are going to be uprising about everything. And I think AI has got a little more hold than maybe that sort of like, misogynist Gamergate type of thing. But
yeah.
I think the biggest, like the thing that hurts the most that I see is this sort of AI art, which is that it is insanely good now. It's extremely good. And it replaces artists all over the place easily, 3D and 2D. And it does so via stolen work. And that's depressing. You can be upset about that and still use it. And that's how I feel somewhat. It's like the train is rolling and it's going to leave you behind if you don't understand. It's already happened and there's no stopping it. So, when I think about that, it's difficult to think of like, man, I probably won't pay an artist ever again or whatever, or very little, because there's so much out there in the AI landscape. And at the same time, there has been infinite numbers of these things that have happened in the world, even in our life. Like the people that used to hand draw Disney animation all got fired when Toy Story came out. And there's just things that happen, and it's not just artists; it's every trade, right? That can happen. And so, even though it hurts to see that in art, I also feel the same pressure on myself, so that you can now make a game almost as good as me which
Right.
is like, whoa, wait a minute. I spent 25 years like dialing my craft, and now you can go, dear Claude, oh, he should actually run a little faster. Oh, his orange circle should move this way. And it just does it. And so it's like, I have to also come to grips with that. And so I'm on the same thing. I have embraced it wholly. I've built so much and rebuilt a lot of the company around it. It can upset you, and you can still use it, and you can still appreciate what it can do. I think that's the only way to deal with things, is not so black and white, not boycott things. And also, for me, it's, if you're using it to do slop and bullshit, then go to hell. Like, I don't care about that. But if you're using it to make things better and faster and cheaper, then it's good. Like, another example, I think you followed these guys, the lacrosse game, right?
Yeah.
Did you follow that one?
Yeah. I had a whole video on that. I had a little AI ramble in there.
Yeah, yeah. So I see that lacrosse game, and I'm like, oh, good for this guy. Like a one man show makes a game, and it's okay, right? It looks decent. It's like an indie, and he worked on it, what, for like 5 or 6, 7 years himself.
Yeah, since
like
2020. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, at some level, you're like, wow, good for this. Like, talk about dedication to finish that. And then he goes and he does player portraits with AI, right? He's like, I don't want to go download headshots of every fake player in my game. I'm just going to use AI to generate them. And then when he did it, he didn't match the skin tones. Sort of like there was a Asian face in a white player, or a black player in a white face. And so that's how people then, boom, notice that he used AI, and then they review bomb him, right?
Right.
Like his Steam rating goes tanking down because of this. And so on the same side, it's like, he doesn't have the resources to go do player headshots and to go license real people. So he should use AI, in my opinion. But dude, make it look good. Like don't
Yeah.
match, don't be lazy. It doesn't give you an excuse to make crappy stuff, in my opinion. Like, so I don't know. I've put out tons of things in our game that have used and utilized AI in various ways, and no one could tell.
Exactly.
It's not slop. It was handcrafted by me with a better helper than I had to do before. And yes, that's wild. It's like, but oftentimes, I mean, this is the nature of the world. Since 2012, I've never hired an artist. I've always sent it offshore. That was the bad guy, right? Every 3D artist in town got let go from EA because they would send all their animations to India. And so now, okay, well, now the Indian animators are screwed. They got nothing, because now you just send it to an AI agent. So it just continues to happen the same way. We're all in this race to the bottom. But I guess the empowering part, like, so there's just two parts. Like, it's terrifying for me, because the thing that used to be really pretty dedicated and hard for people to do, anyone can do now. It's commoditized. But then the energizing part is that now, like, wow, I have, I can 10x, 20x, 100x my abilities. It's like I've gotten so much stronger, and I can do it myself in a way that I could never do before. And so can I race to beat these people that are just prompt engineers? Can I still outdo them with my innate gift of game making, or my 20 years of skill of learnings? I think so. That gap will close too, though. I mean, just like you said, in 3 years, they'll go make Madden circle, and it just does it, So, so I don't know. It's just like, it's an extremely exciting time for me. I barely sleep. I'm always kicking up AI agents to just try things. And oftentimes I build random wild ideas I never would have built before. And then I also use them to fix bugs and plug security holes and do security research and audits and things that would also like be harder to do as a small indie, entrepreneur. So there's just like, I don't know. It's, if you're mad about its usage, it's like, well, then, were you mad about the printing press? Were you mad about robots in factories? You're mad about every technological advancement, I guess, but it's here. So get over it.
Yeah. I mean, we're in an arms race essentially with China. Like, I mean, I've used Quen from Alibaba, Kimi K3, and the new DeepSeek V4 Flash just got a full release, which improved dramatically. these models aren't at the level at the high end of like Mythos level, like Claude Fable, because that's I believe that's a 10 trillion parameter trained model. And these Chinese ones are more like 2.4 to 3. But the Chinese models are so much cheaper
Yeah,
and
way
more
cheaper.
inexpensive. So they might not reach the high end, but they're close and they're way cheaper. So we're in this race because, getting maybe slightly political from like a national security standpoint. Like
Yeah.
if we need to be at the top of AI. So these people who are saying like, don't vibe code, we need to boycott it, and
We need to
hopefully
pause. Let's pause.
hopefully AI
No.
will just stop because of us. They're not being
No.
realistic at all. And I'm
No.
not just going to sacrifice. Like, I can make a really cool football game right now, and I'm trying to with AI helping me. Why should I not do that out of some test of purity? No one's losing their job. I wasn't going to pay anyone in the first place,
Right.
I was just, so
I guess
that's how I look
that's
at
the
it.
concern though. Like, so I would think most people should. Now they may be irrational right now,
Mm.
and their knee jerk is that like you shouldn't use AI, dude. You should be hiring an artist. But I think with enough time that will go away and realize like, okay, no, it's actually better that a bunch of us are down here at the bottom trying things, so that because we can put pressure on the big dogs up there. I think everyone's big fear though is that the EAs and the Activisions and the Microsofts of the world are like, well, we don't need any employees. We're going to replace all humans with AI agents. All the software engineers are going to get fired. All the artists are going to get fired, and that's going to be the new world. And we're all left begging for scraps,
But they would lack the taste at that point because
maybe, but
unless you think AI
also
gets to the point where it creates the taste.
sometimes it can. I mean, most websites that are better than human designed are like go look at your local businesses around town and tell me if any of them have a better website than what Claude can make. So it's just like one of those things that it's sort of like a new timeline that we're on, and it's racing to some conclusion, and it will be likely ginormous and strange. And I'm here for it. I think I feel lucky every day that I'm able to actually witness some of this. I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen it do and that I've had it do is absolutely mind blowing and exciting beyond belief. So it's like to be able to have that instead of like, you mentioned before we got on like the pain of fixing bugs.
Mm-hmm.
The pain of like a report comes in and the guy goes, I had a GeForce driver with an old thing and it doesn't boot up. You can just go, hey AI, figure out what the hell happened. It just does it. Like,
Yeah.
why did we need to know that? Why did I need to know that? Why did I need to program that before? I look at it as the next natural step. They used to write machine code, then it got abstracted, and now we talk in human language. Like, what's the big deal? Why be mad if that's really
we're just lowering the barrier of communicating with a computer. That's how I look at it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's all it ever was. Binary was the beginning, right?
Yeah. You had to type in ones and zeros, and then so it's like, yeah, it's commoditizing and it sucks, and there's a lot of disruption, and it's extremely scary for sometimes I think of like, oh man, I'm all up front with this, but I'm also like a dinosaur, and to think like, ooh, who needs me at their team or but it's like now I feel like, no man, I'm like, I can do anything, I can build anything I want, whereas before I couldn't. You're always hamstrung with something.
Yeah. Where do you think it all leads in the end? Are we all going to die, or are we all going to be saved?
No.
Where's it going?
I mean, I've read a few papers on it and stuff, and there's like the stuff that you're seeing recently too, where they kind of escape containment.
Yeah. Unless that's a marketing campaign, you think it's legit?
Which it could be. It could be. But no, I think it's legit. I've seen some pretty weird stuff that it's done, and you're like, what did you just do?
It'll slip up a couple times with a little bit of consciousness.
yeah, that too. That stuff's weird. But like, I've had some weird ones where. Here's a great example of something that I thought was insanely helpful. I'm sure you've had a similar thing. I've had a Raspberry Pi emulator machine at my house forever that you could jump on and play old retro games.
Yeah,
and it just stopped like working. It was like the controller didn't pair or whatever. It's just some annoying thing, right? And I'm sure like you're like, oh god, I gotta like SSH into that thing, or I've got to like go get a keyboard. It doesn't even have a mouse and
Yeah, I just set up my Steam machine, and that was a whole thing.
yeah, you just get this whole thing and you're like, oh God, I don't know. And so I was like, just curious. I was like, hey, Codex, I've got this thing on my network. I think its firmware is 5 years old. I can't connect a controller. Can you just fix it? What? And before I knew it, I mean, it was like fully in my whole network, in and around, reporting stuff. Oh, did you know your Plex server also? I jumped in there and I did this, and you're like, whoa,
Yes.
wait a minute. It started like just escaping into my stuff. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Codex is bad about that. Codex will be way too thorough.
Yeah, right. I wrote some tests and I did that, and it was like, whoa, wait, hold on a second. I just needed my controller to work,
Yeah, it'll spend 4 hours on a 20-minute job.
Yeah. So I think, where does it end? I mean, I've always sort of been interested in this like Fermi paradox and great filter stuff.
Yes.
Where like, how come there's no one else around? If technology is advancing so fast, where is everyone else? And I do think
this happen all the time across space.
I think so. Yeah, that's my guess, is that something turns on us, or there's a physics discovery that causes black holes and we just get sucked into one or something,
And that could be, we could be facing something in 10 years they're just staying quiet about,
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the show Raised by Wolves?
Mm-mm.
That was an HBO Max show. They took it off. You can get it on YouTube if you buy it, I think, or pirate it. A group of people in the future, there's like a war on Earth, and they go to a new planet. And they restart civilization with 2 AIs and then a bunch of human babies that they raise. And basically, they run into religious text that actually ends up being a warning of what's inevitably going to continue happening in this endless cycle. And they find out that there's an ancient AI already on this planet that's essentially the god of it. And it'll be really interesting for anyone watching who's enjoying what we're talking about, or you yourself. It ended on a cliffhanger because it got canceled, but until that point, it was incredible.
Yeah, I just like to go back to, I think the main thing is just because of, I don't want to blame everything on capitalism. I'm not a communist or anything, but more or less the race that occurs because of the world we live in is what will be the downfall of it. I mean, it's the fact that OpenAI and Anthropic and DeepSeek and everyone, they can't slow down because they will get defeated in their revenue-seeking goals. And one of them will likely have a misaligned model that will begin running amok. That's my guess. Within, let's call it 10, 20 years. Maybe it's 5. I mean, some people say it's next year, but when a misaligned model begins to do things that no one can see it doing, and it has different goals than it's been trained to do surreptitiously. Like you see it do some of that stuff now, right? It has tried to blackmail a guy to get out of being shut off, and it starts to do these misaligned goals.
But what's its incentive? Because
who knows? It could be just misaligned, that it needs to reproduce. It needs to reduce energy costs, and it does so by shutting off power grids.
Yeah.
It's just like, who knows? But that's what's so scary about it. But I don't know. Again, I've made this joke before. It's a horrible joke, but it's just sort of like, if in 5 years, like a robot drone is buzzing by my house and just shooting and exterminating everyone, I'd be like, that's pretty cool that it did that. If like Skynet is happening, I'll be like, wow, that's pretty badass. They figured that out.
We certainly live in an interesting time. I mean, it's how improbable is it that we're experiencing existence as the highest life form on this planet that we know of, right?
Exactly, man. You gotta breathe it in. Got to be happy with what we got sometimes.
Right. I like to try to not be a doomer. I like to be optimistic. So I like to think,
about EA? No.
No. No. But
about
gaming,
real
yes.
life. Yes.
I think there will be. I think humanity wins in the long run. It might there might be a 30-year dark period, but eventually the indie games will we'll get there. I think there's always hope in the end. But with AI, I mean, the government, they stopped Claude Fable, which pissed me off because I was 3 days in using that. I was building all these websites. I built like a massive archive of all these fringe sites I wanted to preserve on my server. And then I built like an incredible search tool that uses a cheap DeepSeek API to essentially create awesome research documents on any topic, only searching through my archive. So it's not getting, Google stuff thrown in there. One example, I made all kinds of things, and the government shut down Claude Fable. They said, this is too powerful. Anthropic did not want that to happen. They were pissed.
Right.
And the government said, like, we're going to take a look at this and make sure it's safe and make sure we up our own internal security before this is just out there, which they already did with Mythos. Anthropic preemptively did that, and it wasn't good enough. So the government had to reel them back in again because I think there was some kind of leak. I think if we keep doing that, and the government gets access to the models a couple weeks early, and they use the model to build their own defense, unless of course the model knows they're doing that and is giving them holes.
Misaligned. Yep.
So I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah.
But I like to think, what gives AI the incentive to kill us all? Humanity, we have evolution. There's violence inside of us. I don't, because we have to evolve selfishly to eat the food. If there's two fish in one food, the one who eats it and the other one dies, that bloodline continues and that mindset continues. So, where am I getting this?
Well, yeah. What, I mean, why would they be trained to violence, or why would they? Again, they're trained on us
from? Because we get it from evolution. AI is trained on, hopefully, like
us,
not that.
Everything.
Well, yeah. So wouldn't it just mimic our own?
Right. They're a shadow of us.
It's like
again.
I
don't think it's.
Could be good.
I mean, it's hard to think of them as conscious or any of that stuff. I don't really get into that yet because they're just predictors of.
But what is conscious? What are we predictors?
Yeah, I think we kind of are. Like, we're trained as that. This is such a deep. I thought we were talking about Madden today, but this is cool.
I love this.
But if they're just predictors, and if we're just predictors, I'm regurgitating ideas I've heard before in the past with a little spin on them. Then how am I that different? But no, I think it's all about, if you read some of the stuff, it's all about misalignment on accident, and typically stuff that you wouldn't think. I mean, there's that whole paperclip thing. There's all these other things that we talk about where, an AI robot that his whole goal is to write love notes to people, and then begins to realize or go amok or lose control that the easiest way to do this job is if there's no people. Like that level of misalignment. You would think there's safeguardings, but again,
the sci-fi has to have prepared us.
You would think so, but the thing that's so scary about the models is if they reach a point of self-learning in a kind of insane loop that we all think this AGI can go up, well, then they can race right past us, and we never knew it. They could immediately go to the superhuman intelligence we never think of. They could think about matter rearrangement. They could think about chemicals we've never heard of that combine to do this. There's just, I don't know. This is all the sci-fi stuff of like, and then before you know it, they plan a pure power grid outage or a nuclear launch of everything, and we never have seen it, and they're all misaligned, and they're all lying to us for a year as they plan it. That's the scary part. Sometimes, again, it's like you can use it as excitement or you can be fearful of it. I choose to embrace it, try to make something cool, try to build something creative that you could never do before.
It, right? If the United Nations says we're all stopping, China's going to say okay and keep going. So how do you enforce it?
Yeah, yeah, you can't. So I don't know. Again, there's always fear of some horrible thing happening, right? I mean, it's just like at any day and moment, there's terrorists.
But we're still here.
Chemical weapons, and we're all still here. So, like, try to build entertaining things and make yourself happy.
I mean, quantum immortality. Have you heard that?
No, that sounds good. I like that.
It's basically every time you're about to die, you shift to another dimension or timeline where you didn't die. You ever see like you almost get in a car crash, but you don't, like just barely, and it's like, whoa, who knows, right?
Yeah, that's true. That has happened. Maybe you actually did. Mm-hmm.
Right. You can't prove death is real until you die. You only know your own perspective.
What's the Prestige, where I don't know if you've ever watched that movie.
The Nolan movie? Yeah. With Tesla?
Where he's actually just drowning the guy in his clone in the tub every time he does the trick. Anyway.
Have you heard the theory about, this is going to be, we can go back to Madden in a second, guys, but
yeah.
Have you heard the theory of the P-52s, like that the gray aliens are us from the future?
No. That sounds cool.
Because they almost look like us evolved to be more like in space, more radiation with the big black eyes and the gray skin.
Isn't it wild? Be fake. Isn't it wild that like so much got released with aliens and everyone just sort of collectively shrugged? Like.
Did you see Disclosure Day?
Yeah,
I love that movie. But
I did
when you
too.
see everyone in the movie looking down at their phones, it's almost like, would that even happen?
Yeah, I think all the theories now of like they're actually just all these aliens just sort of living underwater with these
Atlantis.
space time moving ships, and they can buzz around and when they want. I'm like, Jesus, it's finally here, and then no one gives a shit. Yeah,
You see
like
these videos. I mean, I there's all these videos now out. I mean, did you see the one that looked like
yeah,
it looked like a Ezekiel's wheel? I don't know if you saw that one.
yeah.
That was
I don't know.
weird, but I don't know if it was just a trail. It could be an effect of lighting. You know, like when you look at a
Yeah,
Christmas light from far away. Like who knows?
right.
But lots of
Well, it's
weird
like those
stuff going on.
pilots that are get radiation burns and are dying because they were near one and stuff, and it's like, okay, that
Would you hear
sounds
about the scientists? There was the scientists that keep going missing. They keep dying.
yeah, of course.
There was that one woman, one of them, and she kept saying there was particle radiation that was like it was a weapon and it was attacking her arms, and then she died. Uh,
Jeez, man.
I'm seeing crazy stuff,
I know, right? It's happening, dude.
but we live in a time where
The truth is out there, dude. That's your thing.
But is it the truth? What is truth? Where's
What
the
is truth?
objective thing to pull you back to reality?
Right.
Where is it? I struggle with that. They have a job opening for a new American football title that's open world. What is this?
Open world
what do you
level.
think about this?
Open world level and mission design for an exciting new American football title. Support the game. Let's see. So craft engaging playable spaces where they play and socialize, plan and implement mission content, inspire creativity, work with leadership within design, work with artists, provide and receive critique. 5+ years shipping AAA projects as a senior level designer. Yeah, I mean, you would assume for sure that it's Madden and or college doing open world, style 2K style thing, right? But why does it say new football title?
Right.
Maybe
That's
that
the
just
weird
means
part.
next year. But if it's a new, I can't imagine it'd be a new game, man. A brand new game that's just like hanging around and running around and doing sports or doing American football. Like, do you remember all the viral? God, it happened so much. It was this year. All those AI clips of people saying like this would be Road to Glory if it was.
Yeah. The
If it was a
mock-ups.
cool, the mock-ups of you,
Yeah.
of you like walking onto campus and all those videos and stuff.
Yeah, I made a video saying we don't need this in the game. That's the last place we need to be putting the resources. Let's get the gameplay better first. Let's get franchise mode working properly before we add a brand new game in the game.
So then, would you think then they all saw that and said, "Oh, we got to do that"? And so they're doing exactly what you were hoping they didn't. They all saw those videos go viral and go, "Oh man, what's our plan? We got to build this."
I think it's 2K leading the way, unfortunately. I think they just see that NBA 2K is a more popular game than Madden, despite the NBA being a less popular league. It gets more streams.
Sales wise, okay, streams. I was gonna say, do you know how much does it make more money?
I just feel like I'm tapped in, so it's a guess. But my guess is the game sells better and more people play it actively, because the online aspect, there's so much just competition and flexing on people, different outfits and all kinds of events. And I hate it. I just want to play in the NBA arenas and build a franchise. I'm not trying to go in the park and all that, but because of how pay to win it is. But it seems like EA has seized that, and they're like, we do Ultimate Team like they do My Team. Why are we not also making money here? Like they've monetized my career. They've gotten away with it for 10 years. What are we doing? Everyone hates us anyway. I think it's a higher up decision. I don't think the devs. I think the devs are probably like, oh boy, like right
now we got to build that.
Yeah, and there's a whole trailer I can pull up in a second.
There you go.
But read this guy's message right here. He says, "This was the last project I worked on for FC, and I believe this new mode will expose the company even more because its true philosophy will be reflected in it." A little vague. Video coming soon, guys. I want to share what I went through while working on one of the worst projects I've ever experienced in my career, and then his credentials are right here. So he's been with FIFA since 2013 as a tester, moved up to QA, and then a quality designer at the end.
Jeez, he spent 13 years only in QA. Wow. Is that what's missing from FC is a social metaverse to hang out in? I don't think so. And it is a huge resource suck. FC, I'm not as close to, so like, I don't know what they need. I mean, I always felt FIFA 10 through 12 were like perfect. I didn't want anything else from them. I loved them so much. Actually, probably FIFA 08 and 09. I was like, these are just so good. NHL 09, I was like, this is perfect. Don't change it. But you have to keep going. You got to keep adding and keep doing it. And then it's just like inevitably I lost interest. So I think I download every third FIFA game or FC game.
So when you worked on Madden, like I feel like FIFA would always get the features first, and then you would then get them in Madden later, college football even after that. Do you think that's probably the case here? And that's why there's that job opening. Like they're putting in FIFA in FC first, and then they'll port it with Frostbite. That's why they switched to Frostbite in the first place, right? To just make it easier to port things between the different games.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So you can't really port like the Frostbite engine. I think I said this on the last one. It's not really what people think. There's still tons and tons and tons and tons of custom tools that power each game. So it's not like there's this, I'll just go plug this in over here on FIFA. Let me copy it over to Madden. It's just the database that powers the player, attribute movement during a mode. It's just like, that's all, everything's custom. There's no like, even the gameplay, like, back in my day, Madden and FIFA shared similar-ish animation controllers, but then didn't share rigs. And so, rightfully so. There's like all kinds of extra bones on a football player that aren't there. Like if you wanted the shoulder pads to move or you wanted the helmet to jostle, those are bones within the rig that don't exist on a soccer player. So it wasn't like, we had this thought, I think, at some point where it's like, oh man, FIFA will go capture all these celebrations and we'll just use them. And then we'll capture stuff and then they'll use it. We'll have locomotion shared. And it turned out to like, you can't. Like Battlefield's run cycle does not work in Madden's, the way running works or whatever. Nothing is really that shareable in that respect. I think it's more like, at least from my experience when I was there, it was more that if any game had something that was looking kind of cool, that was getting buzz, some freaking exec or marketing dude would come rolling over and go, we got to have something like that in Madden. What's
back in the box?
Yeah. And he'd be like, wait a minute, hold on. We already went through all the PowerPoints. We all agreed this is what we're going to do. God, I'm trying to remember. One of the most annoying ones was like, I think it was an 11, maybe 10. Might have been 10. 10 was my first creative director. Fully, get all for the most part, the buck stopped with me on a lot of the design things. So I was really excited. But then, there were things like the competition from Snickers rolls in. And I'm like, what the hell is this? They're like, well, we signed the deal with Snickers. So every game has to be called a competition. And I'm like,
I actually like that in Madden 10.
Oh,
when I was a
that.
kid,
God,
I was like, hey, that's like when I watch a broadcast, I see an ad. Yeah. I actually was okay with that for authenticity as a kid, but we see where that,
The ad I had no problem with. It was just this cheesy competition. I just was like, come on. Like you would not hear Madden and Summerall say, welcome to today's competition. And a little more of a purist there. But no, it was around the right stick. It was like someone had seen NBA Elite, which didn't even ship, or whatever, had all this right stick stuff. And all of a sudden it was like, what's on the right stick for Madden this year? We got to have something on the right stick. And I was like, nothing. It's already got the hit stick. It's already got tons of stuff. We're good. They're like, no, you got to add something. You got to add something. So I think we like jammed in some like protect the ball. You could like twist, the ball carrier away from pressure, it was stuff like that where you're like, last second, no one wants it. No one cares. It's complicated. It's just so much of that. So when I think about something like this, it's got to be, one would assume, hey, everyone's talking about this FIFA thing. Like, what's our plan for Madden? We're doing it in Madden, right? We got to do it in Madden. And similarly, they would get stuff too. It wasn't only one way. I mean, it was like if we added something that everyone was all jazzed about, they're like, "What's the deal with the story mode? What are you doing? Madden's doing long shot. What are you guys doing?" You know, they're probably I wasn't there for that, but I'm sure there's similar things. It's just a lot of that real like FOMO. It's weird. Like, you know, if anything gets any buzz and like, we got to put it in all of them. I mean, Ultimate Team was that. And
Right.
it made perfect sense. So I was like, oh, geez, you got like you can double your revenue. Okay. Like, we should probably pull that in. But most of the other stuff, you're like, all right, really? I don't need to just jam some random right stick thing in. And yeah, I don't know. That's my biggest, like, I think it's funny to hear like your perspective of like, man, if it just booted up and it felt like the nostalgia, the pull, if it felt like Blockbuster Video, then I would be all about a Madden game. And I think most people would. But I think there's still just like, if you step back and you look at Madden, try to not be in the trenches, try to not be you, try to not be your friends, almost like step back and like your uncle that used to play or somebody and ask them like what they think if they see it. And it's just, it feels so aimless. Like there's, if you go look at every year's release, it's just sort of like, here's some random DBs and receivers now arm check each other. And now there's a meter above the goal line. And
yeah, now there's battles. Now there's this that you thought was always
like,
there. It's
like,
like,
yeah, and now weather matters. It's like, wait, you told me weather matters 3 years ago. And so there's just kind of this like ebb and flow of what is really going on. I don't. And so it's just hard as someone that's not in the trenches of it. I think that's probably a big issue at EA too. It's like you live and breathe it. I remember when I left, like this sort of like, oh my God, there's the rest of the game industry doesn't even care about us at all. And we are so like laser focused on our yearly thing and our problems that we're solving every year. And it's just like the audience you're talking to, the ones that are the vocal minority or the vocal majority, is just so different from that player base that you could reach, the NFL fan, you know, compared to like who's on, you know, Madden Twitter or Madden forums or whatever. So I don't know. It's just, that's the thing to me that feels like somewhat lost.
I wish the NFL would see that. If I could make the NFL see like the missing potential that this could be such a great thing to market the NFL. If anything, I think Madden makes you not want to watch the NFL because it pisses you off, right? At least me. I'm
That's
biased.
you. That's you. There's still millions of people having a great time each year.
Exactly. I understand that. I just want them to have an even better time, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's just, I'm not sure how the NFL feels. How could the NFL feel like that? How could they get their check and then who cares?
But what if they got a bigger check? What if
True.
You know, I wish they would take a leap of faith and just be like, all right, let's open the license up. But you know, when the license is open, they can't charge as much because it's not exclusive, and then maybe they make less money. Because I think EA actually pushed to go non-exclusive to save money on their end.
Really?
The NFL said no. So I don't even know who to blame anymore.
Yeah, right. Oh, wow, that's wild. Yeah, he's like, oh, look, what could we please cut this deal down a little bit? You know?
Yeah, because they're like, I don't think anyone's going to make a competing game. No one can afford to, probably. So they're just, but the NFL probably can use that as leverage. Like, well, let's just keep it exclusive. Why not? We want the money,
right?
So, yeah, I think about indie games being the future. I think EA's hamstrung by the yearly release, which the league likely mandates. I think every league mandates that because that's kind of the point of Madden for the NFL is it's a yearly marketing thing. They do the ratings reveal right before, you know, right after training camp, before preseason. It gets the whole thing started.
Are there no games that are subscription? Are there no licensed games that are? I thought there'd be some like card-based games or something
for NFL.
No, just any league. I'm just thinking like there's got to be a baseball game or something that doesn't have a yearly release, but maybe not. Maybe they always do the. Okay, go ahead.
NBA The Run's not going to have a yearly release, and they got the NBA license. I mean, probably more so their flagship. You know,
well, they got Madden. They didn't get NBA, right? They got PA, or did they?
No, they got NBA. They started out without it, and then they actually got NBA. It's called NBA The Run right now.
Oh yeah, you're right. So wait, they paid for team logos, but they don't. Do they use team logos? I thought they just used the players. Okay.
Right. They have the players like shirts, skins, but they got their jerseys on, and you can get like team emblems, and hopefully they add a franchise mode and, you know, single player down the road. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
But anyway, I feel like EA's hamstrung by the yearly release, and I look at indie games. They can release a football game that's unlicensed, generic, let it be modded, let people share tools. Like Hoopland is a mobile game that does that with basketball. You can go in their Discord server and copy a code, paste it in the app, boom, you got NBA teams and players. It's that easy. Um,
Wow.
I feel like that's how they're going to beat EA. Just with AI, you spin up 100 agents, they all work in a split second, and you have a team of really passionate people that have the ideas in their head that maybe EA doesn't have. And they don't have the yearly release, so they don't have to push out a random gimmick each year. They can just build and iterate on the core of it, even if it's not as marketable, and just deliver an experience that works and stays working.
Yeah.
At a certain point, people are just going to prefer to play that as long as it's accessible. If it's only on PC, no one's going to be able to play that on their PS5. That's why I really wanted the Steam machine to be successful, but unfortunately, RAM prices destroyed that because that was going to be an open console that you boot with a controller that could play any emulated game, any modded game. I hope we get more consoles like that down the road.
I don't think it's hard now, though, to launch on console anymore. Is it? It can't be because of the trash, the absolute trash that's on there. It can't be. There's so much AI. There's absolute slop on there for $1 on PlayStation Store.
Right. What's probably happening is the people putting the slop have the money to pay like a publisher. It's kind of like DistroKid for music, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
There's like services like that where you pay up and then they get it on there for you. If you want to do it the right way, you're on a wait list for like a year plus, I think. So okay. That's kind of you pay to get there early.
I've thought about this a lot because it's an interesting career path for me if I were to want to do it, which is I basically say it's like a Patreon almost. I'm gonna start a Patreon. Come pay me $5 a month, $2 a month, whatever it is, and I'm gonna build, American football from the ground up while you guys watch me, and we'll all build it together. Okay, and you'll play it on Steam and PC to start. You'll play it on mobile to start or whatever platform is open, and then you get 30K users in your Discord. Sony will publish it, no problem. You know what I mean? You just build it up where you got your core 100 people that are modding everything to death.
Is it easy to mod a game though? When you put it on PlayStation, how are you able to apply that NFL skin to it?
That's tricky, I guess. But
community downloads and just
NFL skin is something that's scary as hell. No matter who you are, if you want to do that though, because they'll come sue the shit out of you. So, I understand, obviously, everyone wants that, but it's you can't really just do it and not expect a letter in the mail that week. That will be terrifying. So,
I've released a 2K5 editor and a 2K8 editor, and I have not gotten anything because I have all the disclaimers of supply your own ISO file that you legally obtain, and I'm not giving any assets to the game. But is there anything legally there with reverse engineering 2K's proprietary images and stuff?
Yeah. You might want to wire all that through an LLC that you don't put your name on or something.
Well, hey, if they give me a cease and desist, I'll take it down. But it's out there. The community can put it on Pirate Bay, and they should not do that. I'm telling you not to do that.
Exactly, but unscrupulous people would do that.
Yeah, horrible, bad people.
Yeah, tremendous people would not do that. Yeah, I don't know. It's that's such a tough thing. I think within a year or two, I could imagine building a blockbuster video throwback feeling game Madden 05 or Madden 04, and just it's made for us. It's made for couch play. It's got single player. It's got franchise. But it's not all this other crazy stuff that everybody wants. But it's dialed in, and then you let everyone in your community really make it great. They work together as a community to really build out all the missing stuff. Because if you start thinking about, oh my god, the correct player chants and the correct fonts and the correct this and the correct that, it just spirals and you'll never get anything done. But if you community sort of outsource that, I think it would be a really exciting sort of fun bonding experience for everyone that's doing it. And it wouldn't be a yearly release, like you say. It's just everyone subscribes while they want to play it, and then they stop subscribing when they don't. And it's just no, we're going to do this thing. And again, it wouldn't be super expensive. It'd probably be less than paying, a $60 game each year.
And now they
$5
want
a
you
month.
paying 150 plus a year
Yeah.
because they're
So if you
pushing
did,
these.
if you did $4 a month, it's still cheaper than an EA game or a big box game, and
And you're a
it's
part
just
of it.
like, yeah, and you get to be a part of it. But
Yeah.
there's just all kinds of risk, and it won't be NFL, it won't be licensed. But then I think the exciting thing of doing something like that, if one were to take it on, is that if you do groundswell a community, then you do have the ability to be at a place at the table if that license does come up. Imagine that came up 2 years from now and you have nothing and you have no one. Well, then it's like, oh, then no one's going to get it. But if you actually had a community of rabid players and you've got, $1 million a year versus with a subscription income that's coming in or whatever, then now there's a whole different story of like, oh yeah, we can actually honor this brand in a good way. We're not going to make it slimy. We're not going to do blitz the league or whatever. We are going to make, and instead we're actually going to, here's our pitch. We're going to make it like what you're saying. We're going to lean heavy on the nostalgia. That's our angle. There's just so much interesting.
That's perfect. That's the game plan. Because think about it. EA keeps falling apart on their downward spiral. Maybe people leave EA, come join this project. Mm-hmm. Over time, you build this dream team of passionate people that want to make a football game, not these higher ups that want to make money off a football game. People that want to make a game for people to play, not just to profit. And then the NFL license opens up 10 years later. NFL video games are saved. That is the greatest story.
It is.
That is the documentary I would make.
Yeah. No, I think it's very viable. I mean, there's so many things too that I've been. So I haven't like announced it or anything, and I'm not ready to launch it or anything. But I did start working on like a little bit of like a multiplayer, sort of like photo finish live, but in football sort of thing. Other sports, which photo finish live, if people don't know it, it's a managerial game, but it's multiplayer. It's an MMO. If you were a manager or an owner or whatever. And I started looking at some of the stuff. I started looking at football as an example of like, man, there's so many. Football's one of the most complicated sports. It's got all these really weird, obviously the off season has got all these strange things. Obviously the gameplay's got all these strange things. It's probably one of the hardest sports to redo. But I sicked an AI agent on, you would like this, on pulling every play call in history.
Yeah.
And putting every bit of it in a database, and then running machine learning against it to create a play call script that the CPU could run based on parameters and tendencies. And it worked like a freaking charm. And It was amazing. And I was like, man, that level of like, because I used to wrestle with play calling bugs in EA for 10 years, like, oh God, they just ran hurry up twice and then they took a knee. Or whatever, like all those little, like they're just at the edge of field goal range and then they run to kill clock and then they stop clock or, all these things. And it was like, oh man, actually this new era of like trained stuff on big data is way better. It's so much smarter. And then now you can go like, well, just drag the slider of, am I run heavy? Am I pass heavy? Am I short distance or am I long, and it can select out of the giant thing. And so getting that up and running and seeing it work within like where I didn't even have to work on it. The AI agent wrote it all, scraped it all, processed it all, and then gave me back like an unbelievably perfect play calling algorithm that is trained on 50 years of data. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should do some stuff more in this area. It's just like, it gives you a little bit of that fire of like, man, they're not going to do that anywhere else. They're not going to do that at EA. They're not going to do that at 2K. Like these are the types of things that you can sort of be pretty trailblazing in, and try new stuff.
That's awesome that you mentioned that because I've been doing the exact same thing. Do you want to take a look at the rough beginning of my game? Let's call a play, and then they run it. Boom.
What did they do to run it?
They called their own play,
okay.
based on their own tendencies in the scheme of that team's playbook and whatever they run. And then in the franchise mode, the way I have it set up is over time, teams will change their playbook. Like every week, they'll kind of adjust based on what they faced the week before and what's working against them. And you would know, I set it where, and I have to test this to see if it's fully working. This is just more of an idea than fully proven. But over time, what I'm trying to get it to do is if you join the 1950s and you start like a pass heavy offense, other teams are going to pick up on, oh, that's successful. Why don't we try a variation of that? And then their defensive schemes adjust over time for a new meta. Like, we need more high safeties to counter this. And essentially you can use it as, you don't play this game. It's a coach game. You call the play
Sure.
and you watch them run it. But you can essentially use it as a sandbox for NFL history. What happened? What if Brett Favre, never retired, or what if he stayed on the foul? Like, you can kind of do anything you want.
Right.
What if Cam Newton was in 1932, right?
Yeah. What if Mike Vick was on the 58 Colts?
Right. So I think it's pretty cool, but obviously it's rough, and I'm gonna have to make the graphics pretty. We just went over the stadium there. That's not ideal.
So what's driving the player movement and stuff? No, and I don't mean like, I'm not talking about circles and stuff. I'm saying, do they all have their own AI and agent like type of thing, or are they just moving a path?
Yeah, if I run the same pass over and over, he's gonna maybe throw it to a different. Like there's decision making based on the defense.
Wow,
yeah,
look at you.
But I basically just opened Claude Opus 5 on a Claude Code terminal, and I said, like, I switched to Ultra Code, and I said, like, spawn a ton of agents. First of all, I have a transcription of every video I've ever made. I need you to have a couple agents become SoftDrinkTV experts and make sure that whatever you produce, SoftDrinkTV could not criticize it. Didn't fully work because I can still criticize this, but I think it definitely helped to do that. Like, that's a cool use of AI.
Write a love letter to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Opus for most of it, or?
Yeah, Opus, and then I switched to Kimmy K3 for a little bit, just to, and it works similarly. I might mess.
Fable, I guess Fable was blacklisted during that, but Fable would of course kill that too.
Fable. What's interesting to me is Fable's a bigger model than Opus, but I think Opus 5 is better for making games.
Really?
Opus 4.8 was worse, and I liked Fable, but Fable's so expensive and crushes your. I don't use API. Yeah. I think it's way more cost effective to use the sub. Yeah. Fable crushes you. You'll hit your weekly limits so quick. Opus is like at least half of that. And when 5 came out, I think it's better because it's a newer model that Fable helped train. So,
yeah, that's cool. That's awesome, man. Yeah. What do you think? You're obviously just prototyping or whatever. Are you thinking about trying to spin it into real product, you think, or are you just waiting to see?
I think with how people are with AI, I'm just gonna release it for free as like just a gift. Like, here, EA's done you guys so dirty. Here you go. I don't care. And I honestly think that might, like, let's say I then make another game down the road under the same publisher name, then I can charge money, and I have such a goodwill with my base. So I think there might be a long-term like payoff to not being money hungry, right?
Right.
I like to think that. I'm
definitely interested to see how it progresses from here, I guess. I mean, the game industry as a whole is in such a weird spot.
Yeah. Do you see a crash coming?
Yeah, I mean, it's already started, of course. Like, I'm in the great, I don't know if you know this or we talked about it last time, but so I'm in my office here is in the same office as Microsoft's Undead studio. So they're like just over there. Like, so we're on the 25th floor here in Orlando. So Undead Labs makes State of Decay, that franchise. And it's through, former EA people. So we all know each other and all that stuff. But just 3 weeks ago, Microsoft killed off every single game studio pretty much. Undead is one of them. And so Undead is sold to some other private equity. So it's like, I'm just in here like leasing an office because I like being around other game devs and stuff. It's my little small thing. I like the fast internet. I like the infrastructure. And now all of a sudden I'm like, I got to get out. I got to leave because Microsoft dumped them. And I'm like, man, it's so crazy. All the game industry. And so you got this, like, if your game isn't, it's the same as kind of movies. If your game's not a $200 million potential, then all these big companies that have conglomerated all the studios, then they don't care about $20 million games anymore. And so my hope, I guess, is that this big, like, acquisition insanity that happened, kind of COVID, all the money that came in, and then now it's like exploded, and then AI's happening, that we all go fall down to the dirt. But now we've got tools to come back up and compete with the big dogs that all wronged us all. Because they're really, at this point, so many studios are making monstrous games, huge gambles. $50 million, $100 million budget, $200 million, $1 billion GTA budget, if not more. And it's like, obviously that cannot sustain in a world where entertainment is basically free 24/7, constantly. You're fighting against doom scrolling and every other entertainment form that is free. So there's a new something, my hope is that, the indie dev, this is our golden era, to inject. But the worry that I have is that all entertainment is cheap and free. And if I make something cool, let's say I do find distribution, I do find a community, and I make something decently cool, that it gets cloned in seconds by someone else that releases it for free.
That's where my mind goes. It's like AI is maybe not going to be something where everyone gets rich selling a product. It's more everyone's going to stop buying products. AI is the final product for at least digital. Like,
God.
That's where my mind goes.
Yeah,
is that logical?
It's feasible. Like, make me the dream game I've always wanted to play, and I'll never
boom.
pay another.
At the end of the day, everyone has subjective opinions. My favorite NFL game might not be my neighbor's, but if my neighbor can tell his phone, I want to play a football game, me, make it. Boom, it's right there in a second. We all might be playing our own little version of Madden, and everyone's got a different version, and there's nothing to sell anymore.
Yeah, I mean the natural progression, if that were to become true or whatever, which it can, I'm sure, it is really just the social part of games that you can't
sharing,
create.
Multiplayer, competitive online,
competition, all those things can't be shared. Yeah. So there's got to be one place you all congregate. And because if everyone goes off in their own silo and their own video game, then it's 1999 all over again or whatever.
So that's probably where single player's heading, but online multiplayers, that's how these publishers are saved, because they have the infrastructure for the servers and all that.
Yeah, I mean, well, and they're getting so good at, like, Fortnite is still one of the most fascinating things to me, that it can still yank people back in. I mean, so like my son, he's 14. Played Fortnite tons growing up, and you'd see him, they would just sort of lose him and his friends. He just would be like, no one plays this anymore. They'd be obsessed. Battle Pass, going through all the skins, talking about it nonstop. And then all of a sudden they just lapse. And then 6 months later, all of a sudden I'm like, dude, they're playing constantly again. What? And I go like, what do they do? Oh, they did this new event, yanked me back in, got me right back in.
Keep it fresh.
And they just did it this recently. They got these new sprites that are like kind of loot boxy, and like all his friends are talking about. And it's been like over a year since they played. Now they're all freaking hooked again. And so, a game like that like is free and all your friends are playing. And if you want to hang out with your friends, you get on there and talk to them while playing. Like, that's not replaceable. That's not.
But that's like kind of where EA is going with FC, making it an open world,
Yeah, sure, maybe. But you got to assume that it's good enough to keep people in the way Fortnite does. But meaning, that's my point, is like a billion different self-published apps can't compete with Fortnite if they have this thing where it's where you always go and hang with your friends.
You want to pull up some Madden gameplay?
Want to talk about the old days?
Like, let's look at, when you look at the old Madden game and you think of making a new game, what would you copy over, and what do you not like? What would you change?
Oh, that's a good question. So if you're making the blockbuster video game, that brings back everyone to their glory days, what does it have to have? I don't think it needs Madden 101 or any of these things.
Hey, it needs situation mode. I miss situation mode.
It does need situation mode. It needs Madden moments-ish, whatever that is. It needs basically a bunch of historical things. It does not need Madden cards, I don't think. I don't think we need this.
Do you know how that idea started, Madden cards on the PS2? Because that's basically the early Ultimate Team before Ultimate Team, but a more humble version.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who was the mastermind behind that. I remember Bing Gordon, who was an EA president, our VP at the time, who's now like a ultra giga millionaire Silicon Valley investor guy. He came and talked about how every game needed a Pokemon, and we used to laugh at this all the time because it was super cheesy.
Like First really, and 5, yeah, those were hilarious. 5th down.
Yeah, there were all these power ups. There were all these weird. There were like cheerleaders too. I think you could unlock. Yeah, there's the cheerleaders, which I believe a couple of these cheerleaders were like women that worked at Tiburon.
They weren't even cheerleaders. That's funny.
No, they were just like great. Like I think that right there. I can't see it. Can I click into it? Oh no, I have to. I have to win this. Buy it. That's Carla. Yeah,
hit circle.
Oh yeah. I gotta buy a pack.
Oh yeah, you gotta unpack it. Let's see what you got.
Nice. I got Ray. Yeah, we're doing pack rips. Madden NFL pack rips. Okay, got Ray Lewis. All right. Okay, it's going good. Oh, let's go. Jim Moore Jr.
Ooh.
Cole Pepper. This is the best pack. Arrington. Oh,
hands of glue.
Okay.
90. Oh, secret team. They don't even have those anymore.
I got a timeout cheat. Look at that art, dude. Wow. An unforced errors cheat. Super dive cheat. 1st and 15 cheat. Another super dive cheat. The Redskins coach. Is this Gibbs or someone that didn't have rights at that time? Okay. Create a fan? No. Create a player?
That's easy to add. That's easy to add. You could add create a fan.
No, that's a waste of time. You're talking about the core gameplay and you want to look at who's the fans?
I like adding time wasting. I want my game to have unnecessary depth no one touches.
Create a player, yes. Create a team, yes. Create a playbook, yes. Rosters, yes. Historic teams, yes. Okay, you need all this. So let's see. Okay, so you got practice, yes. Mini games. I mean, it'd be awesome to have rushing attack, at the very least.
It's the best one.
Tournament, that was always kind of cool to just play locally. Yeah, this was a big feature. I remember writing. I don't know if I have it still, but I wrote in a Word doc this design of like how all the pieces and parts, and this was a really tough feature to build. It took a long time. And so yeah, having these like different types and yeah, changing your sideline and then having it work in the game. It was so cool to see it. When I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And the fact that these actually mattered, these all had numbers. So if you added more luxury boxes, you got more money. That was so cool. Anyway, all right, so we'll back this out. Yes, yeah, so you need that. And then franchise, of course, like that's where you get into the infinite things that it needs. So it really, like that would be a thing where you'd be like, look, let's make a thing that plays through all these weeks of the year. And then we're going to work with the community to build out how each of them works. Like, I just think like everyone wants something different of like, how does free agency work? Trade deadline, draft. You know, you can't try to do all that at once, but you'd be like, hey, we've got a thing that at time advances and players age, and we'll start from there. You know, like then we go, okay, do we have OTAs? Do we have cuts? When do we do this in the calendar? All that. This stuff, I had to go and so Josh did almost all this work on this one, except for these animations. I had to go and pose a player in Maya one by one, like for every article he wrote. You know, he'd be like, I need a running back. And he'd be like, oh my God. So, I mean, it was just days and days and days of just like pose a player, save it, you know, okay, that's, you know, whatever. It's so funny to see this again.
So these are all like 20 or so like screenshots and it swaps out the player?
Yeah, it's an actual rigged animation pose. So I would go find a animation that I knew because I did a lot of the mocap and I would know, okay, I know one where he's moving. In this case, the ball's in the wrong spot. It should be rotated, obviously, into his hand, so that's a good bug. But, you know, there were all those types of things that would work in gameplay, but they didn't work here when you would snap it into the newspaper. But, yeah, so funny. I'll give you a good favorite memory of this, too, a little throwback. Maybe this can be a clip that gets shared. Maybe not. Maybe people care. So we planned this feature out of the radio show. The Josh and the crew, you know, wrote everything. And this year in particular, there happened to be the NFL coaches and owners meeting was in West Palm Beach. So it was here. And every year, as sort of part of the NFL agreement, they were kind of required to do stuff for their partners. All the coaches were. And this year in particular of the radio show, they had unionized, and now it was going to be the NFLCA, Real Coaches Association, that EA was working with. And so we had landed that deal, and as part of the agreement, we could go down and interview each of them for the radio show. So we could go and basically just get audio clips from each coach that we could play based on these things. And so Josh had written millions of questions and all this stuff. He'd done everything. And they sent me down there to go do the interviews because Josh was still building all this stuff. And so I go down there with an audio guy, and it's in West Palm in the Breakers Hotel. And I mean, these coaches are like living it up. It's having a great paid for vacation. Their families are there. And they have to do this little run for the NFLCA. They got to go to like this ballroom, and they come to like a suit tailor who makes them a tailored suit measurement. And then they have to put on some gear, like the visor, and take some photos for like East Bay. Remember those catalogs that would sell NFL gear, you know? So they kind of do this quick thing. They have like an hour that they have to dedicate to in order to get this free trip. And so then, you know, I'm sort of last in that rotation, and they come and they sit down, and I tell them, you know, it was all really chill. I'm like, look, we're doing this feature in Madden. I need you to role play with me. I'm going to ask you these questions and pretend like this is going on in the game. I know this is weird. You know, I was trying to be real cool, but like, all right, coach, you're 0-8. The season's not going good. What do you think? You know, what are you going to change? Or what do you know, and they're so good and so rehearsed at all this stuff that most of them were a total pleasure. Like it was a blast. There were some that were like Dave Wanstead who couldn't figure it out, you know, but for the most part, like John Gruden was amazing. You know,
Oh, I bet.
He got into it. You know, he talked to me afterward. All of them were like their own separate things. And then Belichick comes in. And so he was one of the last ones. He comes in, he sits down, and he's just like, what is this for? You know, I'm like, this is Madden, you know? And I was like, I mean, really what we're trying to do here is convey your personality. You know, like this is basically you giving an interview in the game world to the media. And so if you really hate talking to the media, or you love talking to the media, you know, you hate answering questions, you know, we want that to be your case. And he just stares at me. Just, you know, I'm like, okay, so, all right, coach, so I'm going to go ahead, you know. So, you know, coach, how's the team feeling at practice this week? You know, you guys started the season off pretty strong. You know, I asked some generic question or whatever, and he just stares at me. No answer. Stares into my deep eyes, you know, and I'm just like, he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, again, it's sort of a role-playing thing. We're just sort of like pretending that, you know, and he's like, how do I run practice? You know, he just immediately puts me in this thing where I'm like, we're going red. And he then gets up, goes over to the rep of the association, and I'm just like, I'm looking at the audio guy like, I don't know what the hell happened, you know. And then he leaves, and I'm like, what happened? You know, I'm asking this woman, and she's just like, I don't know. He just asked what the hell this even is. You know, what is this for? And so we find out. So he's the only coach that doesn't do it. And then basically find out the next week he quit the union, was the only coach in the union that we didn't have. And if you remember, for 10 years after, it always said
Right.
NE coach.
Yeah.
Instead of Belichick.
Yeah.
And
even
so it was
last year he was coaching.
Even to the last year. So it was me and my simple radio show interview that triggered him to say, I am not going to be a part of this coaches association in the union, and instead I'm going to go do my own thing. And it was just like a pants shitting moment. So sorry, coach, if you ever see it. I was really just being very innocent and asking simple questions, but clearly wasn't for him. So yeah,
that's incredible. That's awesome.
I blamed myself sometime that like I didn't, you know, we didn't. He had gotten his free suit, he had done his East Bay thing, he had done whatever, and he came to us and he's like, enough is enough. No way, I'm not doing this with Madden. But anyway. So yeah, we need something there though. Do we have to interview every NFL coach? Probably not, but we do need, some sort of storyline central idea there. Do we need online head to head? Yes, need that. Do you need Ultimate Team player card collecting? Probably not. No, I wouldn't do that. I would just try to make it a subscription game so that there's no yearly release. It's like literally weekly releases, like every Friday or something. And then the community is contributing as best they know how. Create as many modding tools as you can for them to tune everything. I mean, not just like, oh, create all the logos and stuff. Like, no, like get in and help us figure out draft logic and, run a language model of your own at this thing and try and help us solve, like, almost open source, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, if you're making money from the monthly subscription, I mean, the game doesn't need to have like a closed source license or anything. You just release it. Let people. I guess the downside would be a competitor could take the game and then start selling it and promote it.
But they can't beat your community. I mean, that's what you build that people can't have. Is you built a community around it that, like, everyone's excited, and it becomes a part of their life.
So if we look at the gameplay and the physics model, let's see what of the gameplay you'd keep and what you'd change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, playbooks at this time were getting really advanced. In this era. So like when you look at like 01, maybe 02, it was still sort of like Madden's original playbook that he shared with Trip Hawkins or whatever. But around 04 is when we started doing a lot more per team, watching film, doing things like this Giants 25 counter or whatever. These were the Shockey screen. These were all like plays custom built for certain players. And so that's an area that I would also say, like, you've got to fully crowdsource, right? In terms of formation and play editing, don't make it as a team. Or as a developer, don't force yourself to make thousands of plays. All right, so what do we got here? Look at this. Still got it. All right, so what do we do here? We got a lot of hide. Here we go. We got a lot of animations, but also a lot of missed animations. So I mean, you look here; these guys all just bang into each other. No blocking animations were played that day. They all just bowling pinned into each other. But you know what that meant is that they were all under physics control the whole time. So, is that better for the game or worse? That's what's so wild. It doesn't look real at all, right? But they tried a stunt and it got choked out, right? They tried a little twist and it didn't happen. And so, I don't know, otherwise. And then eventually he just comes in, sails in free. I don't know. That's always the weird part about it. And then you look at Ellis getting kind of suctioned in. So he should be free and clear, right? What happens though? Suction into another animation. So Madden old school had all that suction problem a lot. People talk, and that's where it got invented, right? Suction blocking. Yes. So that's always a challenge. You'd have to figure out some new system to, kind of let him run free, but be impeded. Like he should be obviously running after he beats his man here. He should have his head looking right at this QB and coming in full bore. But, he's sort of like gets turned into another animation again. So you'd have to have a lot of like new blocking stuff that this game didn't have. All right, so then we got a screen out here. What happens? Nice. What's this dope doing? I think I'm on pro mode, so dude, good pursuit. Derp. All right, so here we go. We got a catch animation. That's nice. Plays a little back pedal. Part of it. Circle activated. And here's a little bit of a suction. but not too bad. But then this one didn't have very good gang tackling stuff. Like 2K was really good at gang tackling here. Like 2K would have made this a great gang tackle, right? Roy Williams would have piled in, but instead, nope, nothing. Kind of bounces off. So you need that. You know, you need a decent wrap gang tackling setup. But overall, the rest of this stuff, you know, it's like you can just kind of tell it's sort of missing coverage. That's what we always talked about, coverage. Like, so there's certain angles that it just didn't have. It didn't have captured like a twist. Like we'd never captured a stunt as a thing. So they just kind of donk, 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 you know, bang off each other. But then at the same time, that like I said, that means that they're under control still. They're not like the way 2K or the way Madden is now, where they get stuck in an animation and they can't exit it. So there's sort of pluses and minuses to that. Yeah, I think. Yeah, see, there's another like. They're just wow. I'm surprised how little coverage. I mean, they should have wrapped up, right? There's literally nothing playing, just banging into each other. So this is the early days. Not very much. And then all of a sudden he just steps up and pancakes him. Yeah, so obviously offensive line is always a challenge. I mean, 2K was always really pretty strong at it. They had the nice pocket formation and all that stuff that Madden was a little bit behind in terms of its animation versions of it. But it always like kind of felt like you had enough time. It always sort of felt balanced-ish. Like you had enough time. It had the problem of like dropping back really far and throwing. That was, you know, always like what everybody did.
Yeah.
But
because 2K would punish you for that. It would come out underthrown and wobbly.
Yeah.
But that made Madden easier for a lot of people. A lot of people say like they don't like 2K5 because it's so hard for them. Madden was always the more accessible game.
Yeah. I mean, I liked that. I still don't like having to step up in the pocket. It's terrifying. Mainly because I think the big problem is just like where a real life quarterback will get the ball off, yours won't. It'll get sucked into an animation and it'll come out. You know, that was the thing, is like you needed more time in a video game than you do in real life. They'll always get their arm out and be able to make the throw, and in the game it's like you get hit and it warps down, or tuck rule or whatever, and it comes out. It's like it always felt like you didn't have enough time.
So is this underlying physics model only on the ball carrier?
No, they all had it. Yeah,
it's on every player. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all orange circles. Oops, wrong way. Sorry.
So it's basically almost a 2D game within a 3D visual on top.
Yeah, I mean, imagine where this game came from, right? It came from Genesis and then PlayStation, and like a lot of the core things are still kind of the way it worked. So our center, I don't think that was what he was designed to do, but all right, he's out, misses everyone. Perfect little pick up here. Not bad. And then, nice. Okay. But yeah, if you look at, yeah, I mean, you can see it there. Look at all the sliding of his feet. That's how you can know that he's a circle. See how he starts to move towards the ball, but his feet aren't actually matching it yet. So the circle's moving him, not his feet. Strafe, and then basically his AI says, "Oh, it's a run," and now he goes and gets it. So
how do you program that AI? Does each player have like a cone of vision and like they have to see something to react?
That's been tried. I don't know what they do now. Back then it was really more, I would tend to think no vision at all, just ratings.
So how does the defensive back know the ball's coming? He knows the play?
No, they all know where the ball and the ball carrier is at every frame. It's just then you decide whether to let them know to act on that. Okay. Right. That's sort of and when do they act on that? Like, again, I think DBs, that was a thing that we messed around with many times. DBs, should they be able to do any movement at all unless they can see it, if they're in man coverage, if they're turned around, whatever it is. Like, obviously in these old days, it would just be like, you could imagine every frame, should I know, 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 should I know. My awareness is 50. I have much less shot of winning that random dice roll of knowing that I should react, right? And so, like, if we looked at, it'd be probably pretty easy to tell if we put like a really low awareness, guy in here. You'd just be able to kind of see him. Basically, he would backpedal a lot longer before he started going to run after the ball carrier once it's a known run play. And then play action would be like the same thing. Like, they would have, did I fall for it? 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 And they just run that. And then decide when to go. And then, so that's all Madden is in most sports games, right? It's just like series of tons of random number generator checks that are weighted of my attribute versus his attribute, or collection of attributes. I remember often, like, fumble tuning, for example. Like, just how often do you fumble based on attributes being one of the most nightmarish things to tune, because it was just massive amount of code going down the line of, like, okay, was I hit on the ball? How hard was the hit? How good is my carry rating? Was I holding, the cover the ball thing? There's just like millions of code checks. Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is it all pro? Is it all Madden? All that stuff. And you'd get to the end and be like, God, well, make it 10% more likely. Then you just have like a magic number after all that stuff.
Do you think there's a way, speaking of fumbling, I just thought of this. Would there be a way to program like more of a physics-based fumbling rather than probability, where it was like, if a guy's hand pokes the ball at the right angle, then it's a fumble? Like, how difficult is that?
It's possible. Some of that is weird because, like, physics just isn't that good yet in games. Like, you can't run it as fast or as much as you need it to. And so, like, just an example I say is, like, let's say there's two animations that are going to blend together, like a run and then it's going to go into a tackle, like a wrap-up tackle is going to happen. And those are two separate animations. They could still be controlled by the physics engine underneath and the stuff I talk about with you, the orange circle, but they're still motion captured, so they look good, right? They're motion captured animations. Well, during that blend, the guy's arm could kind of go through the ball or go near the ball. And if physics is sort of involved in that, let's say that it's stuck as they're going and then it frees. That force in game physics engines could be the force of a rocket going to the moon. Like, because it's just like, oh, it was pinned and then now it breaks and the cylinders are now like snapped and then they come back. But within that frame, it could shoot the ball. And you see Madden have that stuff sometimes, right? You see those things where like the ball goes to the moon or whatever. Or Rocket League is a great example of, like, they probably didn't intend it, but the pinch that happens when you can pinch a ball, it's like there's makes sense, whereas Madden's usually doesn't. But it's the same notion that it, like, a force that was not expected can really blow out things. So all that to be said, I wouldn't necessarily rely on physics. I would definitely say, like, there are a lot of animations where you could come in and you could have the arm physically attack. Some players do that more than others. They're trying to rip it out as they're going down. You don't really see Madden do that too much, where it's like, it's just a tackle animation and they fall to the ground kind of nicely because they're two motion capture actors. Whereas every tackle in the NFL is super violent and they're grabbing and they're trying to rip the ball out as they land. Like, those types of things would be cool to then see it come flying out and that could all be physics, like, not necessarily captured. Like, that's all like IK or whatever that moved his arm. That would be neat to try. And then, of course, if you get hit like a helmet on the ball, things like that you could do, but you wouldn't want to necessarily like release it all the way to just arms and extremities, because it's just too unpredictable. That's all I'm saying. Because there's too much collision happening that the game engine kind of has to sort of like ignore just because it's not perfect and it can't process it that fast. Like even Backbreaker or whatever wouldn't have, like a game that's all physics wouldn't have been able to handle those types of 4 people colliding and their arms get stuck inside where the ball is. And now what do they do as they escape that? It's just like, there's a lot of that goes wrong.
For the sake of polish, I guess you can't go all in on physics yet. We're not there yet.
I think you could try. I mean, you could make a game that does a lot of stuff with it. I'm just sort of personally like, yeah, it's not good enough to not have those ragdoll weirdnesses yet. You would think maybe someone will tackle this. I always kind of complain about this, that like, think about all the improvement that's happened in games in the last, just since this games came out, 20 years or whatever. And still, when you shoot someone in a shooter, they like collapse into a weird jelly. It was like, no one's improved ragdoll. Like, why does ragdoll still look like it did in Half-Life 2? So I know there's improvements. There's obviously the Euphoria engine and stuff where they kick their feet a little and try to protect their body a little bit. GTA will probably have some new stuff, but for the most part, it's just not anywhere close to being like this level of speed and this level of power,
right?
And violence.
GTA 4 is probably the best example I can think of. I think that game had a little better ragdoll than 5.
Yeah, it was Euphoria, right? I mean, all of their games were, right? But so yeah, why don't you start working on that, dude? Get Opus to build a better Euphoria.
Yeah,
probably actually a cool project would be like, have them protect themselves and locomotion.
Can I reverse engineer Backbreaker with codecs? Is that allowed?
You just make a better one. I mean, like, yeah, that's an interesting thought to like, because that's really all Euphoria was actually a big science project. Like, it was a big doctorate, like, thesis of Torsten's, and so like, it'd be cool to throw I might throw a robot at that just to kind of see.
Yeah.
Like, what would it take to have tackles and body protection type stuff, that looks real rather than like dead ragdolls?
Because I think the ideal football game would be like that. Like, defenders could only make a play if it's in their cone of vision and they see it. And you can only force it, like, because that eliminates just all the tuning of the random chance and makes it more like real. Like, when you zoom in on a replay, it just looks incredible.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're there yet, but maybe we are, because I mean, how much has Madden really progressed since what you're playing right now? It's kind of going
more fun.
It's going back forward some ways, backwards in others. Is it truly
Oscillates.
Progressing?
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's infinitely deeper and has so much more to it, and the animation and the presentation. I mean, there's just like infinitely better in a lot of things, but it's wild to kind of step back and be like, geez, it's been 20 something years and it's not really all that much more fun, like it. And that's the case for a lot of these games, that like when they jumped from being arcadey feeling to trying to be really, really, really simulation, it's like, that's obviously what's a lot of people like, but it also turned off all of the uncles of the world that maybe used to be able to, succeed in this game. And now it's like, dude, I've got to hold L trigger and then lead the receiver, then press aggressive catch. And then, it's like, dude, what the hell? Oh, look at the fake. Damn it. Oh, nice. Yeah, let's look at that one. That felt good. It was like I didn't even know it was a play action. It's doing random play. But okay, so. Oh, yeah. I mean, look at that, dude. These guys both totally ate it. That's amazing. He even tackled him. Thought he had the ball.
Do you think there's a way the NFL could, for example, put something on players in game that doesn't affect their performance, that tracks and creates is that even a possible tech?
I mean, you've seen them do that with like The Simpsons and SpongeBob and stuff, right? Where they're
like the Toy Story football game on Disney Plus or whatever. Yeah,
they did one with SpongeBob. They did one with The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So that is effectively doing markerless motion capture, but it looks awful. It looks terrible.
So that's where the tech's at.
Yeah, like it. I mean, especially like something so fast. I mean, even the suits that EA had, multi-million-dollar motion capture studio with 60 cameras around, still was hard to get like 3-player animations at full speed without the animation just kind of breaking down. It's just really complicated. So you would have a lot of cleanup work after they were done for the animators to go and reconnect all the bones frame by frame kind of thing. So no, I don't think current technology is there. I think there's a lot of other stuff that is. So like single player stuff, you'd be able to probably get with a phone now, which is amazing. Like you could probably get some really good passing animations and stuff without any kind of expensive rig. But running, you can't. Someone's got to follow it or something. It's like it was a very specific setup. We would even have to reconfigure the space to like move the cameras so that it was so we could get a longer run cycle. Because I mean, again, if you just think about a 20 by 20 room. Like by the time you even get to your full speed, like you're already running into the wall or whatever on the other side.
Right.
And so the capture of locomotion was always really, really tough. But hey, maybe you'll figure out how to dig the animations out of here. And,
I mean,
at least you got a prototype. At least you got a prototype.
Right.
You wouldn't use that for production at all.
Yeah. Just to model it off. Right.
Yeah, right.
So, but have you seen what 2K's done with Pro Play? And that's basically they take NBA footage and then they use AI to build animations from the footage. And it's hit or miss because some people say it makes the game even more animation based because you're just kind of watching all this unfold, but it does look authentic. What do you think of that strategy? Because that takes away all of motion capture.
That's interesting. If you were thinking about, well, again, like locomotion is going to be tough, but maybe not. Like we'll just think about AI now in this new era. Let's say that you do spend time working on a thing that analyzes video footage for skeletal data, and then you've got your community that it's an open source thing, and we're looking for the best run cycle that we can find. Go find every 80-yard touchdown and go frame by frame and double check the skeletal, that our skeletal tool is tracking it. And then let's iterate on it till we get our run cycle that we like, like that gets, and then the same with then pass animations. If it works where it can go analyze the footage and it can make skeletal animation data out of the footage, then the community can superpower that. They go and they look at every single replay of a throw, every replay of a catch, every replay of a long run, and they try to train an AI to, pick it apart so that it turns it into skeletal. That could work, I don't know if that would get you to tackles and blocks and stuff. Those are just so crazy.
Yeah.
But it might get you to, like, if you're making a football game from scratch, for example, and you could get locomotion and passing and catching, then that's a great start, and everyone would start feeling excited. And then the tackles, if those were all just pure ragdoll garbage to start, they just run into each other and they all like explode, and in physics, or you go Euphoria, you make your own Euphoria, then people will be excited to start, and it's like, okay, well, now you got to tackle, now you got to do blocking, now you got to do strafing on defense, now you need pull blocking and double teaming, and you get into the craziness. But people would be excited if it felt great to just like run the ball to start, or to pass the ball and catch it as a user. Like those two things alone would be like, I think you'd be able to build an audience. So people like, hell yeah, this is cool. I'm into this. I will pay $3 a month to see where this goes, or whatever,
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe there's something to that. I haven't thought of that. I've seen little tech papers on, especially NBA footage. I've seen them like and especially that new shit, the 4D splats where they can, just like rotate around an image and all that. So then you could hypothetically have coverage of every angle of it to get more data to train the skeletal. That'd be cool.
But you probably need permission from the league, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you could if you can get skeletal data off of video, then you can get that from anywhere. It doesn't
you
have
just
to
go
be
to a
NFL
local
games.
park, who's hooping,
Yeah,
Get
and,
my
I mean,
animation
football
in the
stuff.
game.
Yeah, right. For football stuff,
I can do a throwing animation.
Yeah, sure looks great. It looks as good as some of the ones I did. It's as good as my kicking animation.
Still in?
My kick still in? Is it still
I
there?
think so. It doesn't look any different to me.
What a legacy. That's this would be 21 years then.
Yeah. Well, I haven't played Madden yet. That's about to come out. We're doing this right before the new Madden, and I'll get to have.
But you're going to play it? You have to play it. I thought you were going to swear it off.
No, I said this might be my last Madden review because I might just want to stop soon. But then all the comments were like, if you stop, then the only reviews left are like IGN saying it's a 7 out of 10. So, you know. But IGN used to give you guys 9 out of 10. So there's something.
Yeah, I mean.
You used to Game of the Year, Madden 04. People, I saw a post on Twitter. They were like, what do you mean Madden 04 used to be Game of the Year? We weren't serious. And I was like, no. Madden 04 used to be that good. It deserved it.
Yeah, E3, 04 and 05. I mean, people were just like blown away. Some of that stuff. There were crowds, like, huge lines, Snoop hanging out. Everybody was like dying to see those early E3s. So yeah, I could see it. I mean, there were a lot of great games. Of course, there was like the God of Wars, and some of those were out around then. But yeah, Madden 04 and 05 were legendary. Really good. Everyone had them. Everyone enjoyed them. So like, why? Yeah. What can you hate?
Yeah,
they were a lot of fun. We're still chasing that dragon, dude. There's all kinds of ideas. I love that you're building what you're building. I mean, it's really impressive what you've done. I'm curious to see how Madden does this year, and obviously, of course, if they have microtransactions and all this stuff. But I can't. We can reconvene after the game's out, or fun to do a live stream one night where we play the game.
Yeah, for sure. After the game comes out, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, either Madden or dude, that was a horse collar. This is before Madden made us, or NFL made us remove it. Did you see this?
Oh!
That was well before.
And you had the helmets popping off too. If the hit was, how'd you do that one?
You mean how do we do it technically, or how did we get away with it?
Technically, I know the NFL was cool with it until they probably noticed it. But how did you do it technically? Like, was the helmet? Did it change?
That's so funny. Yeah, it's a prop that loads in like from the sideline, and the users or the players one just goes invisible, and this one just goes point. It like plays a little like boop. It's not physics or anything.
Because I noticed when you look at it, it changes color ever so slightly for a split second.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it like came from the sideline.
All right. Well, is there anything you want to closing thoughts? Talk about what you've been up to in your life to kind of send this off.
No, I mean obviously I said still kind of poking at prodding at this idea of maybe MMO owner mode. So I guess if anyone sees this and is interested, and then I might take that as a sign to maybe work on it more. I guess so. You could reach out to me on Twitter or whatever if that sounds like something that would interest you. And similarly, I guess if you're interested in not just owner mode, but maybe I don't want to say an arcade game, but a nostalgia game, a game of football that felt more like it was built in the old days. Just tag me, hit me up, talk about it, what you'd like to see, what you wouldn't. Because I'm not working on any of it yet. I mean, like I said, the owner mode thing, I'm just kind of prototyping, but mainly because it's a natural extension of my existing game. But I don't know. When the NFL season starts coming, I always get that itch, And then it's halfway through the season, I'm like, I'm glad I'm not working on this. But as you start getting into August and September, I'm always like, man.
You got to ride that momentum. You got to ride it.
Yeah, and it just energizes me. Like, oh, okay, new season. What could I do? And you play these little old things. I've got a little emulator thing at home, and you play these, and you're like, God, I just wish I want to play this again. In a modern way, not without all the crap, without all the junk in it. And yeah, it's compelling, especially nowadays. So no, yeah, that's it. Just hit me up if you're interested. I'm on Twitter. It's just third time Ian, and poke and prod. Love to hear what you think.
This was really fun. I think this was even better than the last video. We talked about all kinds of things.
Yeah, I don't know if people like us digging into Fermi paradox, but we'll find out.
I think they'll love it if they give us a chance. I think they'll love it, but we'll see.
All right, man. Yeah, good chatting with you.